Now, talking to me more on China's markets and the road ahead in the year of the horse is Leland Miller. He's the president of the research and advisory firm China Beige Book International. Leland, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Pleasure.
So, Leland, I want to start off by asking you, there's a lot of talk and debate over whether China will have a hard landing or a soft landing. What are your thoughts?
Well, what we do know is that China is slowing down. China Beige Book data was very clear that from Q1 13 to Q4 2013, the economy decelerated in every sector that we tracked except manufacturing. Now, we're seeing a slowing economy. Does that mean a hard landing or soft landing? It doesn't mean anything. It means that a slowing economy can be very bullish for investors if it's accompanied with the right type of reforms during the year. If it's not, then you're going to have a rougher slide.
Okay, so the economy is slowing down. Now, the mainland market in China performed really poorly last year. The SCI, Shanghai Composite Index, slumped, but we saw that the Chinex actually soared by 80%. Is that strange? What was the reason behind that?
Well, the reason is that the Chinese stock markets typically work like normal stock markets because investors know that they don't have all the data they need. They don't have total transparency. You know, a lot of the time that you see jumps in the stock market, it's not from any type of fundamental change. It's from regulations that add liquidity, foreign investment, et cetera, to the marketplace. So it's not operational in the same way that a regular marketplace does, and so you have to look for different signs as you go through the year.
So there have been a lot of reports recently of millionaires fleeing from China. They're taking their money and they're leaving. They're going to places like Australia and coming here to the United States. Do you think that this is a sign that perhaps foreign investors should not put their money in China? Or do you think this is just a case of perhaps people looking to diversify, such as the Chinese in this instance?
Well, it's a warning sign, but at the same time, it's not something that's dire. You know, the Chinese want to diversify. They have very few ways of diversifying their holdings within China, so it's logical that they'd want to branch out, both for protection and for diversification. Now, is this a warning sign for investors? Well, I think that if you don't see the type of reforms that they were promised at the third plenum, promised elsewhere, then you're going to see one-way flow. So right now they're balanced out. Chinese investors taking their money out, foreign investors putting their money in, chasing yield. If you don't see that two-way flow and it becomes one-way, then you're looking at trouble.
Okay. So 2014 is the year that's touted to be the year of the China IPO. We've seen a lot of Chinese companies IPO recently. We're going to see the likes of Alibaba this year come to market. JD.com, China's second largest online retailer. How successful do you think these IPOs are going to be?
Well, China has invested a lot of time and effort and resources in the past 2 years trying to fix their IPO chain. So they used to allow firms go public. The numbers were terrible. The valuations were terrible because of limited options in the mainland. There's fraud everywhere, and they've spent a lot of time trying to fix the system. Now, what they're trying to do now is have successful IPOs, and they will have them. Some of these larger companies look like decent value, but it doesn't mean that Chinese IPOs are going to be greeted as a whole as this great investment. People are going to start looking at the details. They're going to look at the books, and they're going to make investment decisions individually.
So Chinese firms love the U.S. market. Does the U.S. have an equal sort of love affair with Chinese firms? Is the attraction mutual?
Well, they do. They've learned their lessons slowly over the past couple of decades when a lot of firms have put money into China and said we have to chase this market and have lost a lot of money. But I think people are understanding that getting into the China market is not as easy as they thought. You can't just say, okay, there's 1.3 billion consumers, we're going to make money, we don't have to plan. So what people are looking at right now is they're trying to find better information. How do we understand the marketplace? How do we understand an evolving China where some sectors are doing well and some sectors are doing awful? And so getting better data, this is something that we're very involved in at China Beige Book, getting better data on the credit system, on the sectoral economies, the regional economies, this is absolutely necessary if you want to do business in China.
Very quickly, in just a few words, if you could see China implement one reform policy this year, what was that #1 reform on your mind?
Deposit insurance. A lot of people think that they're not going to do it because of the bureaucratic battles. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I think that China will put in deposit insurance first half of 2014, and this is the type of thing that will, if implemented, inject a lot of enthusiasm to the bulls.
Great. Deposit insurance. Leland Miller, thank you so much for joining us today. Some great insight there. That was Leland Miller. He's the president of the research and advisory firm China Beige Book International.